Just start with the final update. So that's what it looks like when it's all done. We haven't got the fridge in yet, but very tidy. Took the jack out of there. Now I have a bung, 3D printed bung, so you can get to the spare wheel jacking system, and it's all looking pretty spicko. So these are the 1070 drawer system from Supercheap Auto. We installed them, and inside this box, for those of you who know, there are two bolt down holes. I've used those as mounting holes with booker rod. I'll show you a bit later. And we're also going to put some brackets on the back of those seats, can't see it, to hold that end down firmly. The problem is you can't get to the spare wheel, so we're going to fiddle with that in a little bit. And you also can't get to the jack, so we'll take that out and then reinstall so it's all sweet. My dad's just helping me out. The only disadvantage is to get these panels off, you've got to take the 8 mounting screws plus the 16 screws that bolt onto there off, because that all bolts onto the frame. But it's a quick job, it's not a big job. And these are the tech screws I've got in the back, and it may not seem like much, but if you look at that seat, it effectively holds the rack down. But I'm also going to put aluminium brackets on the back of each of these seats to really hold it securely. These 1070mm by 900mm drawers fit absolutely perfectly there. Really worth putting them in. So I'm taking the jack out of that holder there, because once the drawers are in you can't get access. And you'll see I've drilled these little holes in the back of this box, because if you lift this, you've got those threaded bolts in there. So I'm using those with booker rod, and this is the jack access, so I've left that permanently open. So what we're going to do now is, where that dot is, drill a hole so that we can put that cover in there. So then if we ever have a flat, we can just pop that out and jack down the spare wheel. And because we have the jack, we can also change the tyre. Right, so 65mm hole saw, and now you can get clear shot at the little doodad down the bottom there, and you can't quite tell, but the drawer ends just in front of that hole. So I'm just going to 3D print, because the problem with the plug that's normally in there, it's flat sided, so when you put it in there it just drops in. So I'm going to make one with the flange that just sits in there nicely and recesses in. So it should be all good. So once the booker rod's been Loctited in, that's all that you see, about 15-20mm protruding above each side. So we've got that bolt and nut. I'm going to put a locking bolt nut behind it, and then I've got the 2 tech screws with washers. These are just really to help. The main bracket's going to be the one on the back of the seat. I'll video that'll hold it all in place. So I've got that bracket installed as just a safety, so you'll see it's like a L-shaped bracket, and when you close it, it just sits over the top, so it prevents that end from flipping up. So I've got 2 long tech screws and a shorter one in the top.
Then you can open it won't tip.
Yeah. Anyway, all good. So hour and 46 minutes later, the drawers are in, everything's nice and secure, everything slides smoothly. The fridge slide is nice and smooth, the bracket out the back there is nice and secure, and everything feels super solid. So really chuffed with how that all turned out. This is just the screen of the 3D printing slicing software. I've made it in 2 parts so that I can screw them together, show you in CAD, but the part on the left here is upside down, so it'll actually be flipped around, and that bit gets screwed on top, and it's got the word spare tire on it, and you can see it busy being printed in there as we speak. It'll take about another hour and 38 minutes or so, and then it'll be done. That's the part shown in CAD. I'll just move that down So it'll just sit on top of there, and as you can see, the bottom bung is recessed, and it'll just go into the hole where the spare tire access slot is, and that flat bit there is just because of the way the drawer sits, so that it can sit nice and flush on it. So I've just taken that off, and then I'll put that in the hole. These two holes here, the two holes you see are just for tech screws, just so I can secure the top to the bottom. Right, so that's what it looks like when it's all done. We haven't got the fridge in yet, but very tidy. Took the jack out of there. Now I have a bung, 3D printed bung, so you can get to the spare wheel jacking system, and it's all looking pretty spicko.